Hey guys, today we're going to talk about a highly requested topic, um, how to troubleshoot and build a Kayfun. To do that, we're going to need to go up close, so if you give us just a second, we'll reappear. Alright, now we're here up close. We're going to talk about what you need to actually get your Kayfun built and running, and we're also going to break it down and show you the parts and how it goes together. You're of course going to need your Kayfun, the little screwdriver that it comes with. I like to use a 1/16 drill bit, but you can use a variety of different drill bits or screwdrivers to wrap your coil around. You'll need a length of wire. My favorite for Kayfuns is 28 gauge. Of course, you can use something different if that's your preference. Tweezers, wire cutters, your favorite juice, and I use organic cotton balls. For my wicking material, you can of course use EcoWool, silica. So now we've got that out of the way. We're going to break the Kayfun down. Now what I'm doing now is just unscrewing the whole tank section, top cap and drip tip. This is your chimney. This breaks down into two pieces. For our purposes, we're just going to leave it together, but you can take it apart to clean it and clean in there. We're just going to leave it together. This is your build deck, which we'll go over more in a second. Your tank section can also break down into three pieces. We're just going to leave it whole. We don't need to take it down for the first build. And then this is your top cap and drip tip. Now, how Kayfun works is we build the coil here. That hole in the middle is where your air intake comes in. That's going to come from here. These two juice channels allow juice to move to your coil, and that's how you get vapor. This chimney goes over, and just kind of there's no flooding or anything that happens, so you're just going to get juice coming from these two channels right here. So what I like to do to start when I build my Kayfuns, we're going to loosen the screws on the deck. Just enough so that we can wrap our wire under it. I'm going to get my wire and my drill bit. And I'm looking for about a 1 ohm coil. That's just my preference. That's what I like. And I found that 9 wraps around a 1/16 drill bit gets me there. So I'm going to take the wire and the drill bit and pinch it between my finger, my index finger and my thumb here. And then I'm going to take the long end and wrap it 9 times, as close together as I can get it. There's 9. Now normally if we were building a dripper or anything, we just leave these pointing down. Because we are building a Kayfun, we need to get them the leads positioned differently. I'll show you how we do that. We just bend it around a little further. What we want them to do is lay flat. Like that. Now that we have that, I like to put it over the air hole and press my thumb over it. And we're going to take this first lead. Now you would normally, the wire naturally wants to wrap this way. We actually don't want to do that because when we tighten this down, the coil is going to be off a little bit, and we want to tighten that up. And by wrapping this lead around the opposite way, it's going to allow us to do that without loosening the connection. You can just hold that over here with your other finger. Tighten that down. And we're going to do the same over here. We're going to back it over the other way. See what I'm doing? This wants to wrap this way. We actually want to back it over here and wrap back the other way. We'll hold that down. Now I'll move my excess wire out of the way. And this can happen if your lead is not in there all the way. Just loosen it, tighten it back down. And now we'll clip our leads. You want to clip these pretty close because you don't want them grounding out on your chimney. So now we can see, here's the channels, and the coil's actually not in line with the channels, and this is why we wrapped it the opposite way, so that now that when we tighten it, it's got something to pull against instead of loosening. The last thing we need to do with this coil is actually just lift it up a little bit and make sure that it's not touching the center post. It doesn't have to be far, just lift it up a little. And that looks pretty good. So now what we're going to do is take our drill bit out, and we need to test our resistance. Like I said, I was shooting for about 1 ohm. You can use a resistance tester for this, which is definitely recommended. I just happen to have a device that will read the ohms, so I'm just going to use the P3. That's coming out to 1 ohm exactly, so it is not shorted. And we're going to go ahead and fire it now. And this is where the tweezers come in. What we're looking for is any kind of hot spot, and we just want to squish our coil together. And we're looking for it to heat up evenly from the inside out, which it is now that we've pressed that coil together. So now we can actually put our wicking material in. Like I said, for this I like to use an organic cotton ball. And the trick to wicking Kayfun, or anything with cotton, is to not use too much. This stuff does expand, and too much will cause you to get dry hits. The liquid won't actually make it to the coil. So what I'm doing is just taking a little piece about like this, and I don't want to roll it and get it all tightly packed together. I actually just want to form it and then get a point on the end that I can put through the coil. We're going to pull the cotton through, and that's what we're looking for. We want it to slide through easily. We don't want to have to pull that through. Now this is of course too much wicking material, so we're going to trim it. I like to trim mine even with the edge of the Kayfun. You just get some scissors and do that. Now that the wick's in there, we definitely don't want to fire it. That will absolutely torch your cotton. So we're going to take some juice. And I like to put juice on at this point because it makes these, what we're going to end up doing is put this wick up against this, this block. And if I put juice on first, it makes that easier to work with. Now that's juiced up, we can even give it a test fire. Definitely working. And we will just, and this part's really important. You kind of want just the right amount of wicking material, and it needs to be positioned rather perfectly. So on the Kayfun, there's this center build block. This is what you actually put your coil on. We want to press our wick up against that build block, steering clear of these juice channels, and we also don't want too much. We don't want to hang it down into the threads, And that's why when you put the juice on it, it makes this part a little easier. So that's about what we're looking for. Now you can take your chimney, screw it on. We'll take our tank section, screw it on, and then our top cap. Now to fill it, let me take it back off the device. You guys may have been wondering what these two things down here are. That's actually your fill hole and your airflow adjustment. So we're going to take our little screwdriver and back this screw out. Set that aside. And then we'll get our liquid and we'll just fill it right through that hole. Now if you're using the full metal tank, of course you can't see your liquid. You're going to have to go off of how much was left in your bottle. I like to maybe sometimes on my bottles just mark. This will hold 4.5 mils, so you can just mark where 4.5 mils is on a bottle and fill it in there. Of course, if you have your clear tank, you'll just be able to see when it's full. It's very important not to overfill a Kayfun because that will cause it to flood. You want to stop, if you're using the clear middle section, stop just when you get past that line. If you're using the full clear, just stop before you get to the bottom of your deck. And after it's full, you want to clean off any liquid from that fill port and then replace your screw. The airflow adjustment screw is right here, and you can actually screw that down for a tighter draw or back it out for a more open draw. Put your drip kit back in. Put it back on your device. That's excellent. Alright, so that's how you build a Kayfun. Now we'll talk real quick about how to troubleshoot it. When you're using a Kayfun, you might notice every now and then a gurgle. That means your device is flooded. To correct a flood, it's usually a problem with the wicking. You can try to do it without re-wicking, and that's done just by blowing it out. You turn it upside down, make sure that juice clears your juice channels. Point the hole into a paper towel and just blow it out a few times. If that doesn't correct it, you'll need to re-wick it. And commonly it's too little wick, or the wick isn't long enough and it's not coming down to the bottom of the build deck. If you're getting dry hits, you can also try and correct that without rebuilding. That's done by just manually priming it by covering the air intake with your finger and pulling juice into the coil. Again, if that doesn't work, you're going to have to re-wick it. That's usually that usually happens when you have too much wick in there, or your wick's too tight and juice isn't able to freely flow to the coil. Pretty much anything with a Kayfun can just be solved by rebuilding it. So if you have any questions, let us know and stay tuned for our next video.